welcome to Coin Hedge, everyone, where we stay ahead of the latest cryptocurrency and traditional financial markets and news. Today is November 10th, 2025. Before we get started, I am a financial advisor. However, this is not financial advice. For financial advice, you can visit thecoinhedge.com and book a 1-hour Zoom call with me. As thanks for joining, I wanted to come on today and offer kind of my thoughts on what's going on in the market. So right now, there are a lot of narratives going on in social media, mainstream media, YouTube, where there's altcoin mania, and right now is a great time to get in and buy. And newer retail, this is the best time to get fooled. So if you're new to the space, right now historically is when retail comes in and, they buy the top, to say it simply. And I don't want to see that happen. That's why I'm coming on here. I want to prevent that from occurring. I don't want to see that, because what it can do ultimately is take a lot of people out of crypto for good over the long term. And those people are going to miss out on generational wealth opportunities. And we've seen a few of those already play out. So if you're new to the space, I'm going to just present some data, and you can do with it what you will. So last week, I went over market cycles in general as far as traditional finance goes. Went over Bitcoin compared to the S&P. We'll do that again. And showed you kind of some connections between the Bitcoin price chart, the total market cap for the whole cryptocurrency space, and then the altcoin market cap, and some relationships between them that may help clarify really what's going on in the market right now. So very briefly, we look at the S&P here and Bitcoin, just actually focusing more on Bitcoin. So last market cycle, from bottom to top, it went roughly 1,051 days. And from bottom to hopefully what I believe would be the top in this cycle, it's 1,061 days. And I don't think that's a coincidence. So to add some connections to that, we have Bitcoin topping back here in 2021. And then we've got the S&P going into its final run and in the distribution. And by the time the S&P peaks, Bitcoin's already about a quarter of the way down in its bear cycle. And so we say, okay, that happened last cycle, just like the time frame happened pretty similarly last cycle to this one. What's going on between Bitcoin and the S&P? Well, Bitcoin tops. The S&P is almost in the exact same spot it was back in 2021. In relationship to Bitcoin, that is. It's going in for its final move in distribution. Meanwhile, Bitcoin's starting its way down. It is exactly the same as what happened back in 2021 as far as its structure. So those similarities right there would indicate, if nothing more, that we are later on into here, somewhere in here. Okay. Does Bitcoin have another leg to go up? I just doubt it. And I'm going to make one other connection that kind of supports that. So late in these cycles is something called alt season. So generally alt season, the frenzy, the media frenzy, and the influencer frenzy occurs late in the cycle. That's when everyone thinks alt season occurs. And historically, some assets, and I'll show you some here in a moment, do go on parabolic moves late in the cycle. Okay, but when influencers and mainstream media and social media says that, it can be jarring to new retail investors in the space and can cause them to do a bunch of different things. One being, I'm a retail investor and I have some experience in traditional finance, so they're saying it's a good time to get in, so I'll just index the top 10 and I'll be on my merry way and I'll make a lot of money. Nope, not going to happen. The reason is because these markets move together. And I just showed you, we probably topped, okay? So if you go in thinking that it's alt season and it's a good time to get in and you're going to index the top 10 and make a bunch of money, And I just don't think that's going to work out for you. So that traditional financial mindset is not going to work when you're trying to get into the market right now. So how do we know that alt season is kind of a farce? Because it topped with Bitcoin. So on the top here, we have the total market cap excluding Bitcoin and ETH, the two largest caps. And on the bottom, we've got Bitcoin. They topped at the same time, guys. And they did it again this cycle. In 2021, they topped at the same time. And they're doing it again here in 2025. So, all right, well, what is alt season? Why are all these influencers saying alt season is coming and this is a great time to get in and general wealth or generational wealth time and all of those narratives? Because things like this happen. Enter Zcash. In the last month, roughly, give or take a few days or a week, it did a 2,400% return. Yeah, in about 4 weeks. For reference, Bitcoin over the last 5 years did about 650%. That's a terrible drawing, I know. So that's what they're talking about. That does not mean that the entire market is moving. The entire market has already done its major move. There are some outliers that are going to move against the market. That happens in every single industry. And whenever you're looking in other industries, so tech, just whatever other industry you want to pick, that happens. So there are assets that solve a real world problem and that increases their value because of the demand for that. So what is Zcash? Why is it doing that? Why would somebody have chosen that to purchase? So how are we going to navigate this in the future if you miss this coin, right? And I say coin, that's not a very good term because it's not a coin. It's technology. It's software. So what is it? What is Zcash? So what are the economics of Zcash? Zcash's monetary base is the same as Bitcoin's, a fixed supply of 21 million Zcash currency units. So just like Bitcoin, Zcash has a fixed supply of 21 million coins. Their inflation schedules are the same too. Don't get confused. It says the word inflation there. It is not inflationary. This is a deflationary token. People are going to disagree with me. That's fine. An inflationary token would or asset would offer the ability to make more of it. There's a fixed supply. The supply is getting bought up. It's deflationary by nature because there will never be any more and the supply is diminishing. So it's a deflationary asset. Well, there are a lot of deflationary cryptos out there. So what makes this one different than all of the others? So what is Zcash? So you can store it, spend, or send it. So Zcash is a digital currency and a store of value that keeps all your financial information, here it is, private and in your control. Okay, built to empower economic freedom, similar to Bitcoin in its design. In fact, Zcash was created from the original Bitcoin code base. So it's basically Bitcoin with privacy. Bitcoin is public. Zcash can be, it's not always, but it can be if you want it to be private. Okay. Conceived by scientists at MIT, Johns Hopkins, and other respected academic and scientific institutions. Okay. What is Zcash? It's a privacy token. Anonymity for the win. That was the thesis of crypto back in 2008, 2009, and over the first 10 years of its inception. It was supposed to be peer-to-peer and private, and that turned out to be not exactly what it was. And it's turned into something completely different now. And that's where the demand is, and it's being filled by Zcash. So trying to value crypto is a lot different than valuing assets in traditional markets because there are really no earnings. You can't go price to earnings. So you have to use a lot of technical indicators on charts and fundamental analysis in regards to what problem is it solving. Are there any others doing it? So that's what Zcash is. It did a 2,400% move in roughly a month. And that's alt season, right? This is not alt season. The entire market topped with Bitcoin, and that's just how it is. Individual assets outpace the market, and determining which ones are going to do that is very difficult. So it's really nice, just really nice to see Zcash doing that. So another one, so Monero. So what's going on in regards to privacy could be contagious, and it's going to be interesting to see what other privacy tokens do. So people probably are going to be upset that they missed out on Zcash, right? So how can we determine what's going to happen next? It's tough, but a narrative I could see playing out is, well, we missed out on Zcash, so what's the next most popular privacy token? And that's Monero. It's been around, I think, longer. And it's looking, the only thing that concerned me is it's looking very similar to what the retrace of Bitcoin did back in 2021. It's giving that structure vibes. So caution, again, we are somewhere up here. So you have to be very careful when you're getting into these assets right now. However, if we can break out over this and prove it's not just really break out over it, it's not just a retrace, and then get past the all-time high, then we could see some serious momentum. So something to watch. I'm not saying it's going to take off. I don't know. Nobody knows. Anybody that tells you they knows is wrong. They don't know. But it could. I would just keep an eye on it. Again, narrative. Zcash went off. It's a privacy token. Utility for the win. What's the next most popular privacy utility token? Monero. There you go. Really fast, what is Monero? It's a leading cryptocurrency focused on private and censorship-resistant transactions. Monero transactions are confidential and untraceable. Monero is an electronic cash that allows fast and expensive payments to and from anywhere in the world. So just to reiterate, guys, what I don't want to see is retail getting in, buying the top, having a bad experience, and discounting crypto in its entirety. So that's why I'm coming on here, share my thoughts, help you guys get oriented in the market so that you don't think we're down here at the bottom, even though social media will tell you that. So, and again, I don't want you guys thinking that Bitcoin is going to 500,000. I showed some examples of that in my previous video on Friday. So you just have to be so careful. So guys, with that being said, thank you for joining. I really appreciate you guys spending some time with me today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and visit my website at thecoinheads.com, where you can sign up for a 1-hour crypto coaching to get your plan in place. We go over your goals, we make your plan, and teach you some of the fundamentals of navigating the cryptocurrency space. For example, we go over exchanges and brokers, hardware wallets, top assets, fundamental and technical analysis, digital asset LLCs, and more. Thanks for watching. Until next time, have a good one.